at the Coliseum. Now, who will draw first blood in this much-awaited clash? We get a preview from former Ateneo Blue Eagle Chris Newsome and former UP Fighting Maroon Diego Dario. Good evening, guys. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, Chris, this final series, Ateneo versus UST, at the start of the season, or maybe even as late as somewhere midway through the season, did you see this happening? Did you see UST and Ateneo make it to the finals?
So actually, after their first matchup, that's whenever I kind of realized that UST was for real. Seeing how they were able to make Ateneo kind of a little bit shaky from what their normal playing style was. And that is a characteristic of a team that has potential to do great things. So based off of that first matchup, I felt like they had a great chance. And, you know, just whenever it comes to playoff basketball, you never know what can happen. So them getting to where they are now is a true testament to not only just the players, but the coaching staff and everybody involved in that program over there.
Okay, Diego, I know this is still a bit fresh, it might hurt, but UST beat your former team, your UP squad. When you look at that UST team, I mean, why would they beat a team that I guess a lot of people would say was probably more talented than them?
Well, they executed well. They had in-game adjustments as well. And defensively, they just forced UP into some tough shots. And offensively, they executed, found open threes. And in the end game, they live and die by the three, and they lived during that Subi the three at the end. So it's tough for UP, but then UST was the better team in that series.
But how different was this UP team this year compared to the team that you were on last year that made it to the finals? Especially this year, I think a lot of people would have thought that it was going to be an Ateneo-UP finals matchup.
Well, I think they have more talent than our team last year. And I think that was one of their problems as well. Although it's nice to have talent, they actually won because of talent. But then it was also a problem because who was going to handle the ball end game, who was going to take over. And that was a tough decision for UP to make. And then eventually UST forced them to mistakes and hit some big shots down the stretch.
Okay, Chris, the Blue Eagles have had a bit of a break before playing this finals game. I mean, October 30th was their last game, if I'm not mistaken. So that's what, a good 15, 16 days. I know they've had some scrimmages with some teams, but do you see this being a bit of a factor, that rust factor? Because in the NCAA, we kind of saw it with San Beda and Letran in the first game, although Letran almost took that championship today. But is this going to be a problem for the Blue Eagles?
You know, that's always something that is always put into the minds of people whenever you have those long breaks. But knowing Ateneo and the system that they run, I feel like it's going to take them a very short period of time to snap back into it. They might start off the first quarter a little bit shaky, just because UST is going to have the momentum. They have a rhythm already. And, you know, you can't anticipate that, or you can't simulate that so much in practices and in tune-up games. So I think during that first quarter, it's going to be a fill-out quarter. And, you know, once that second quarter comes, or even that halftime, that's where Ateneo is really good at making their adjustments. And then that's whenever you'll see whether or not that rust factor is going to come into play or not.
But personally, for you as a player, like I mean, you're a pro, you played for Ateneo too. Yeah. Do you see that? Does that affect you when you haven't played a game for so long?
I don't think that it's a real factor. Okay, because you know, as a basketball player, your job is to play every single day. So when you're playing every day, you don't necessarily have the time to think about whether or not you're going to be rusty or not. Your job is to go out there and play and give everything you have. And with that, I feel like it's just more of a mental thing that you know, some people either have that mental block or they're able to bust through that mental block. So that's just going to be up to Ateneo and whether or not they have that the capacity and to actually push through that and just kind of go through with flying colors and let the naysayers or the people that don't believe in them to say that it's a rust thing or that rust can settle in. But whether or not that's actually going to happen, we'll see. We'll see, yeah.
Oh, that's a great point. But Diego, for you, when you look at UST this time, would you say that, well, they're obviously a hot team right now, they're on a streak, but is momentum on their side, or is that, will there be a fatigue factor where you've only had 2 days to prepare now for Ateneo that's probably been preparing for them for a very long time? So which one is it? Are their bodies tired, or is it okay that, you know, they're playing?
Well, I think momentum will help them. They have confidence. They've been hitting their threes, even with people in their faces. They've been hitting their threes, and they've been executing well on offense. So I think that's a good sign for them coming into this finals. But then the challenge will always be the fatigue factor. You know, they came in from the fourth spot. They beat FEU, and they won twice against UP. They had like 3 games in 2 weeks. So that's going to be hard for them. Now they had just 2 days to rest. So it's about these 2 days will be crucial for them to balance, you know, preparing and working hard for the finals and, you know, getting that rest as well. So let's see. It's going to be tough for them, but then I think they're going to have a chance against the Blue Eagles.
Okay, Chris, your keys for both these teams in the finals.
Defense wins championships.
Okay.
That's definitely the biggest key here. And when you look at the matchup from the last 2 games that these 2 teams played against each other, it's very low scoring. And so going by that, it's going to be whether or not they can get stops. And I believe they actually had a lot of turnover points also and fast break points. So another thing would be to force the other team to play a slower paced game and to keep it half court to where, you know, everybody's in front of you and you're making them take really hard shots when the shot clock is winding down. And then from that point, it's just up to, you can always play good D, and then that's whenever your playmakers come through with the better offense. But definitely defense is the main key here.
Okay, and for you, Diego?
I agree with Chris. It's going to be a defensive sided of the finals. But I think for UST, they have to control the rebounds, at least match up with Ateneo or win the rebounding game. Because for me, that's the biggest equalizer in the game of basketball. If you're going up against a tough team, winning the rebounding battle means you have more possessions or maybe equal possessions as the other team. And the next challenge for them will be shooting at a high percentage, especially from threes. I don't think UST will change the way they play. They will still look for those threes because that's what they've been doing. Again, the first round matchup, they shot almost 40% against Ateneo and they only lost by 1. And then in the second round, Ateneo adjusted. They forced UST to shooting 28% from the 3 and they lost by 14. So it's crucial for UST to hit the threes. And for Ateneo, I think they have to make sure that it's a slow-paced game. Keep the score less than 80 because UST's 10-0 when they score more than 80 and 1-6 when they score less than 80. And that one win was that close game against UP. So I think it's crucial for Ateneo to, like Chris said, force UST into their half-court offense. And on offense, Ateneo should, you know, play at the Ateneo way as well.
All right, those were great points, guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully we can have you after game number 1. Thanks again, guys.
Thank you, Coach Charles.